Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
I'm great.
I see you wearing a golf shirt. I know you wear a golf shirt a lot, and that's because you really love golf.
And, I get to wear bright colors. And,
yes.
I don't do much in the way of flair, but a cool golf shirt is about as flary as I get.
Well, speaking of golf, I am super excited this year because sometime if we can find this time this summer, I get to play golf again.
Okay, so I have a recommendation for you.
Yeah.
Number one, make time.
Make time.
And number two, it's not a suggestion, but I know that the last couple of years, it's been a struggle.
Right, the walking and everything.
Yeah, before you got a new hip.
I got a new hip.
But now, your activity doesn't really have any, other than, you're not supposed to run, right?
Right.
But
I think they say that to everybody.
Golf is back in the picture, bottom line, right?
Yes. So to stop all that running I was doing.
Yes, right.
Yes, but I really like playing golf. I'm not very good at it, but I really like it. And I'm excited about, getting back into it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what it makes me think this always happens, right? I hit the ball. I'm out on the fairway and I hit the ball and it goes way off in the dingleweeds. And I turn around and you're always behind me because you're kind of my coach in golfing too, right? Mm-hmm. And I go, what? Why did that? He goes, it went, and you tell me, it went exactly where you were aiming.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, I was? Because I meant to aim over there.
Right. So I'm usually standing behind you.
Yeah.
In the coach's position.
Helping me, watching my swing, seeing if you can help.
But not trying to be get in your head while you're, while you're setting up and all that kind of stuff.
You actually do a pretty good job.
And so a lot of times, not a lot of times, actually it's gotten much better over the years, but sometimes what happens is you hit the ball and it goes in a totally different direction than where the ball, I'm sure you were intending the ball to go.
Yes.
And you're like, what did I do there? And I said, it went exactly where you were aiming.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, and this is a great reason to have a coach.
Yes.
Because they can see what's happening regardless of what you meant to do and help you make adjustment. So it's true, the ball always goes exactly where you're aiming, so whether you meant to aim there or not.
So the shortcut is check your aim. Right?
Check your aim.
And then what happens? You get up there and then you get ready to take a shot and you look back at me. Am I aimed right? Oh,
yeah.
Yep, you're aimed right.
Yep.
Right? So check your aim.
Makes a difference. Right.
We do this a lot with coaching clients.
Yes.
Right? And I think we can apply the same, approach.
Principles, approach, yes.
To your Amazon business or any business really, but
sure.
But we can speak mostly to the Amazon business and say, okay, here, what was the result?
Yeah.
And let's check your aim. So
yeah, that's what we do. So how do you do that? When I come to you as a coaching student and I say, okay, this is what my results are. Mm-hmm. What's the problem?
Well, first thing I'm usually asking is, let me see your swing.
Yeah.
Right. And the swing is, to equate it to the FBA business, is how much time did you spend sourcing last week, the week before that? Mm-hmm. How many consecutive weeks of shipments have gone in? Mm-hmm. How many?
What kind of consistency do you have in doing these things?
How many new tests were in each of your shipments? Mm-hmm. How many replenishable ASINs do you have?
Are you hitting 7 core competencies every single week?
Mm-hmm. What does your repricing regimen look like, right? I mean, there are a lot of things that go into this.
Well, and I think it even goes back one step further, which is check your stance, right? So what were you expecting to happen? What was your plan, first of all? If your plan was to go for a 4-week test and you just dropped your price after week 1 and quit, then check your stance. You got to stay in your stance all the way through.
Well, this speaks to the follow-through.
Right.
When you're taking the swing, the golf club swing, you don't stop when the club makes contact with the ball.
Right.
You actually have to go all the way through.
You do.
Right? Follow through.
And this is another thing that you coach me on all the time. Sometimes I pull up and you say, why didn't you, and it doesn't go as far as I wanted it to. And what you tell me is always impactful to me. I know you say it over and over, but you say, if you use that club, expect it to be the best hit you had, not, oh, I'm not very good at this club. Expect the club to do what the club is meant to do, follow all the way through, or when you do get a good hit, it won't count.
I think one of the things that comes into play there is when you have to approach golf.
Yeah.
And you have to approach this business, I think, with a commitment.
Yeah.
Right. And you break it down even to your individual swings in golf. So if, you are taking a shot, like you're putting the ball, you have to commit. Otherwise, it's likely not going to go in the hole or where you want it to go.
Or it's going to react too much. You're going to bounce it off. And that's what I have a tendency to go back and forth across the green. Pass the hole right up several times.
Well, I mean, that's a commitment of sorts, right?
Yeah,
You're like, you're really getting a hold of that thing. But I guess where maybe a putter was a bad example, but if you have 100 yards and you have your pitching wedge, you can't be afraid of going over or coming up short. You got to just be committed with that club.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the same thing with your method or your approach in the Amazon business. Pick the right club and be committed to it.
For where you are.
Yeah.
You don't pick the same club when you're 500 yards away.
Right.
As you do when you're 100 yards away. Those are two completely different clubs. And if you try to use one for the other, you're going to have bad results.
Yes. Right. So
pick the club for where you are. Check your stance. Make sure your expectations of what's going to happen are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Check your swing. Check your aim. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Check your aim. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you're aiming where you meant to aim.
Uh-huh.
And follow through. Make sure, commit. Mm-hmm. And follow through. Make sure that the tools you picked up, the plan that you made, are all put together, and you trust it. Go. Because sometimes I go. Well, I was afraid I had too big of a club.
Right. I was afraid I had too much club. So
don't pick it. And you say pick a different club. Then.
Yeah. So then pick a different, because you don't want to be half.
Right.
You don't want to take half measures here, right? You want to be. It's like my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. When does a car have the least control? A vehicle that you're driving.
Uh-huh. And what?
Well, and it was a trick question for me. I'm like, I
when
don't
it's
know.
Going the fastest.
When it's going the fastest. And he said, no, is when you're not on the gas, when you're on the brake, you have the least amount of control. And so you have the most amount of control when you are
controlling the speed, controlling the
speed with the gas pedal, not the speed with the brake pedal.
Yeah.
Right. Now, obviously, there are nuances to that as a professional driver.
That was back in the 1900s.
Oh, that was back in
the mid 1900s when we had rear wheel drive cars and standard.
It's not mid 1900s. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Late 1900s. Yes.
Mid to late 1900s.
Well, anyway, the point is and I had to think about it. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going through a corner and I want to be in control of the vehicle, don't put on the brakes. Yeah. Right. You got to be on the gas to be in control of the vehicle.
Yes.
And the same thing applies in the game of golf. The same thing applies here in the Amazon business. You need to be going forward with commitment and certainty that this is going to happen.
You're absolutely right. You have to step on the gas to make it go, and then you can steer. If you steer where you're not going anywhere, that's not helpful.
Right.
And if you hit a patch of ice, slamming on the brakes is not the right answer.
That's right.
Right? This is what we have to learn when we learn to drive in Colorado, right? Yeah.
So basically, if the results are not what you expect, then check your aim. That's really what we're getting at here. And your aim consists of a number of different things, but let's make sure that you're living up to. I don't want to say living up to. Maybe that's not the right way to say it, but that you're executing with a level of commitment that one would expect to achieve, to get the results that you're expecting.
I agree.
Okay.
So that brings me to, I had a student, I think it was last week, doesn't matter. He is pretty new, but he had a pretty good handle on what consistency means. And he gave me an analogy, and I asked him his permission. He said I could use it. That really, really brought it home for me. I was like, oh, that's going to help.
Okay.
So he said, pretend that I'm loading a vending machine. I'm the vendor, and I'm loading in all the items, and it's one of those that has those circles. You push the button, it goes circle one time.
Oh yeah, I know. And then your stuff gets stuck in there, and then you're like, whoa, stuff, right?
Right.
Trying to tip the machine so it comes out because you just got gypped out of $1.50 or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Anyway, so I load the machine from the back, and I put one in every single thing. So in the beginning, if I put one in and I go around the front and I push the button, nothing's going to happen, but it's going to get one closer. Then I can go put another one in and go one closer. Then I put another one in. But if I miss one, then, pretty soon I'm going to get them coming out.
They're coming out pretty regularly when you press the button.
But if I missed one, like if I missed a shipment, I won't see that for quite a while. There'll be several circles going around, several orders, several button pushes. And then all of a sudden I push a button, nothing happens.
Oh, and then you're the guy I was just talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I put in my $1.50.
Exactly. Right. And it's so frustrating. What happened? Well, it's very clear what happened if you're the guy loading the machine, right? But that's the reason, and that's a good analogy to show what we mean by consistency. Every single week you have to have a shipment going in, and if you don't, or whatever your pace is, and if you miss one, you won't notice it when you miss it. You'll notice it several weeks down the line, and you will go, what happened? Why all of a sudden sales dropped? And we see it in the Facebook group all the time. All of a sudden, I have no sales today. I was having great sales. Check your aim.
4 to 6 weeks ago, tell me what your shipments look like, right?
Right. Exactly. So.
Well, I think that's a great analogy, and gives you an excellent visual, because we all know what those machines look like, and
it just goes to show you how much we learn from our coaching students, as much or more than they learn from us.
We all know the frustration of pushing the button and nothing coming out.
Yes,
and we know most of us have likely experienced a week or two or a month or whatever, not necessarily in sequence, but where we missed things, and then we pressed the button and nothing came out. Yep. And so it is a bit of check your aim there as well. I think there's just more generally what came to mind when you were chatting was the pace, because I think you said the word pace. And in a previous episode, we were talking about how do you 10x something?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, this is good. I just need to 10x it. So poof.
That's a good point.
Right? It's not really just a 10x. You can't just wave a wand and it happens. It really becomes a pace thing. And you might think that you're at pace. Yes. And then really you discover that you're capable of more. Right. We all have a limit, and this is why we need to scale the business. But to get to that certain point, what we call that period of intense focus effort, pace, right? Pace.
Agreed. And here's another principle that applies there. As you learn in your slowest pace, and the first one's going to be the slowest one. We can all accept that, right? As you learn, your pace can become faster because you get better at it, more efficient. You know what you're doing. You can do it without thinking about every little step, and it gets faster. Then your pace can pick up. Then it gets faster, your pace can pick up. So if you're trying to 10x what you're doing, then you need to increase about 10 times, with a plan. If you have that plan, it's going to feel a lot better while you're in the middle.
Well, just to keep with the athletics analogies here, or sports analogies, when someone is becoming like a competitive runner, you can be analyzed by someone else who really knows about running form and all that kind of stuff. And they'll
things
watch
that you
you
can't
run.
really see
you can't
yourself.
See it. Right.
Because the minute you start trying to see, then that's when you screw up your form anyway.
So someone else is observing, and then they say, adjust your carriage in this way, or,
hold your arms up, hold your head up.
Right. There's certain things to make you more efficient so that when you do try to pick up your pace, you're not, I'm trying to think of, what was the gal's name in Friends who was running, whenever she ran, she was crazy.
Rachel. Was it Rachel?
No. Was it? Was it Smelly Cat?
Yeah.
Sorry,
anyway.
Name is blanking us right now. But you're that one girl in that.
Screaming their name.
The one girl in that one show.
The one girl in that one show.
Well, anyway, right? If you're trying to pick up your pace and you have no form and you're just all over the place,
Lisa Kudrow is the actress' name.
Then you are not really going to gain that much by picking it. So, but if you gain it, you put some efficiencies in place, then you really can pick up the pace and approach something that maybe you would be a 10x level of effort, but you're getting 5x level of effort, but 10x results because of the efficiency.
Yes, but you have to get that. You have to do it first to find out what there is to fix, and you got to make little fixes along the way until you get to the point where you know how to make the fixes, and it becomes faster and faster and faster.
That's right.
Yeah, but just to say, oh well, you need to have this perfect form. Now I know what that perfect form is, so I'm going to go run a marathon now, that's probably not going to work.
Right.
You have to make your body do that form.
That's right. Which is easier said than
and a lot
done,
of times
right?
you think you are, but you don't realize that's exactly where you were aiming, Robin. You you didn't think that's where you were aiming, but you were, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so how do we put ourselves in the place that we need to be to make sure that we're getting these increases in efficiency and finding those places where we need to adjust that we might not be able to see ourselves? What do we have to do?
Well, we were chatting about this the other day, and I think there are lots of ways to find success.
Kudos, points, golden stars to everyone who just said, test more ASINs.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, what?
Yeah, but that's too soon. We're only 16 minutes in. Yeah.
Yes, that's the answer. Now, let's talk a little bit more about it.
There's multiple ways, a lot of different ways to find success with this e-commerce, Amazon, Walmart business, right?
Right.
What we're trying to do is put ourselves in the way
Yes.
of success. In other words, give ourselves every opportunity to succeed.
Yes.
How do we make sure that we're giving
Don't
ourselves
hamstring ourselves anywhere.
every opportunity, right?
Right.
Don't
take advantage of everything available that might help you in any way, right? So what are those things?
Well, it's a good question. Honestly, the number one thing that comes to mind is coaching.
Yeah.
And I'm biased because I did it myself, and we're coaches today. And we were just talking about your golf coach and your track coach, and
there's value there.
There's something to that, right? If it didn't matter, then the most successful people in the world in their respective areas of expertise wouldn't have coaches.
But most of them do have coaches.
Absolutely.
So that should tell us something.
I'm telling you, even like Fortune whatever CEOs, they have coaches.
Yeah,
or they've had coaches.
Absolutely. Yeah. All the time. All the time. So, but that's not the only thing.
No,
that might be a big thing that you can do. But there are a lot of enhancements that are available for free or low cost as well.
Yes.
Such as listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Listening to how other people have found a way to find success.
Yeah.
Joining the free Facebook group, My Silent Team Facebook group, where you can ask questions, see conversations, get updates on, what things are changing, what adjustments are being made, revolutionary new ideas that nobody's tried before. The Proven Amazon course.
I think the Proven Amazon course is...
That's a low-cost way to get a lot of information.
Next to coaching, the best way to put yourself in the way of success. And before we get too far off of this, one of the visuals that comes to mind for me in terms of getting in the way of success is if success is a stream, then I'm jumping in that stream and trying to get some of that on me.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And
getting in the way of that current so that...
The current, right?
I need to get wet with that.
The current or the currency.
And see what you did there, yeah.
Right? The currency of the energy right, that comes from this community, the energy that comes from the flow of money.
Yes.
The currency that comes
flow
from
of information.
Information, exactly. So
tips
just
and strategies.
Get in the way of that flow.
Well, now that you mention it, one of the greatest ways to get in the way of that flow and dive right in and get it all over you is the Proven Amazon course. I mean, the Proven Conference. The Proven Conference.
Yeah.
Get to the Proven Conference. Immerse yourself in these concepts and strategies, and even more so the relationships, the attitudes, the feeling that you get when you're amongst a lot of people who have the same goals you have, who have found something that you're looking for, who are sharing their tips and their strategies. This is a great place to really kickstart your Kickstart. The Kickstart Bootcamp. That's a great way to get started.
Another one, yes. How about the workshop? We're doing
the workshop. Yes, the 2 day.
2 days prior to the Proven Conference this year. You have to have a seat. So go to provenamazoncourse.com/100 to get yourself signed up. But I was just thinking, as you were naming off all those things, I was thinking about my journey up to the Proven Conference, and then shortly thereafter. And it consisted.
When you first started the business.
When I first started the business, the very first thing was the Proven Amazon course. That's what I got.
Yep.
Okay, and then I was like, wow. wow, this is a lot of information. Okay, I'm going to get a coach.
Yes.
Okay, that was step 2.
Right.
And then I got a coach, and then step 3 was Replens course within PAC. Okay, step 4 for me was proven Amazon.
Now, this whole
Proven
time
conference.
you were listening to the podcast before this
Oh yeah,
started?
I mean that's true. I mean,
You were in the Facebook group? Yeah.
Yeah, I think of those as
Like everybody.
it's a
But
given.
everybody doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
is in there. So if you're not, you're really missing out. And those things are, those things are free. So
then the proven conference, and then the relationships that I developed at that proven conference were a fuel and drivers for us for years afterwards.
absolutely.
And still are today, right?
Still are. Yes. And that's where we go every year to get refueled. You'll see, we'll have a podcast after the conference. And what we almost always say is, oh, I didn't realize how much I needed that. I didn't realize how low my tank was getting. I didn't realize how much renewal and energy I could get from just getting some more of that on me.
What always surprises me is, and it's going to happen this year again as well, and I think it'll happen every year because there are continuously new methods and strategies and angles that you can take on this business. Is how
In any business, it's that way. This is no exception.
and when I'm there, I'm like, oh gosh, I never even thought of that. Or I've been doing this for 6 years and I did not know that.
Right.
Right.
Or, hey, that's a great take. I'm going to explore more of that. Or, oh, that explains why this happens.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what I get.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, that's click. Right?
So anyway, getting yourself in the way of these things is giving yourself as many opportunities as you can to succeed.
Yeah.
That's just what, and that was one talking point here, right? With these events or these courses or information that you can put yourself in the way of to help you find success.
All kinds of different ways to consume the content, the information, the strategies, the tips.
Another thing you can do to put yourself in the way of success is to practice what you have learned.
Oh, yeah.
It's not enough just to absorb it into your brain.
Right.
You actually have to do something with it.
You cannot get experience until you practice, until you practice the art, until you actually execute.
Yes.
You don't get experience from getting ready to thinking about, reading about, understanding. You get experience from doing.
Yeah, so you don't get experience from watching either.
No.
You get experience, the only way you get experience is by doing it.
Exactly.
And, short of actually doing it, you get to practice it. So practice then makes you much more confident and able to commit.
Yes.
As we talked about before, when you're actually doing it, the real thing, right? Not just practicing it. And so the last thing on my list, anyway, of putting yourself in the way of success is you got to send product in.
Yeah. If you have an FBA business and you haven't sent any product in, I'll guarantee you will not make it.
Well, you don't have an FBA business if you haven't sent any product in.
Well, if you think you have an FBA business, so you plan to have an FBA business, you don't have an FBA business until you put something up for sale.
Yeah.
You cannot make a sale if you don't have anything for sale. Very few things I can guarantee in this business or any business, but that's one.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee you will not get a sale.
If you don't say anything in it, you're going to get 0 sales. Well, anyway, so there's a lot of this going on. It's that time. I mean, it happens year round.
Yes.
We have the Proven Conference coming up. We have the workshop coming up. We've got probably a lot of travel that a lot of folks are doing this year, maybe going to cities that have new sources for you that you haven't sourced at before. Like, I know we do it even when we're on vacation. We're shopping in those areas for things that aren't available to us normally.
Sure.
So again, putting ourselves in the way of success.
Yeah, absolutely. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, do you have a quote for us today?
I do have a quote for us today. This quote I think is so awesome because it relates a lot to what we were talking about on a previous episode, some of what we were talking about today. This quote goes like this. Goals are for people who care about winning once. Systems and processes are for people who care about winning repeatedly.
Who said that?
James Clear.
Okay. I really, really like that. That is profound. I mean, it's one of those things that, we all know this, but then you say it and it's like, click. That really makes sense. This is why we have things like the Accelerator Workshop. Give you systems and frameworks to be able to not just make some money right now, but keep making money, predict what your business is going to look like, sustain what you have, the success that you've found, and scale to larger and larger as you go.
Well, one of the things that comes to mind for me is, like, I think you've said it one or many times before, like, I can show you how to make $1,000 on Amazon tomorrow.
Sure.
Right?
But that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but yeah.
Yeah. But if you want to know how to make $1,000 every week for the next, from now until forever, that's a different.
Then you need a framework.
Right. This is systems and frameworks. It sort of reminds me of the old days of this guy we used to listen to said, a blind dog with a note in its mouth can make a profit on Amazon tomorrow. Right.
Right.
But if you want something that, as you just said, predictable,
sustainable, and scalable,
then you need systems and processes. Right. Also, if you want to not be the lone governor in your business or the bottleneck in your business, then you are going to need those things so that you can hand them off, hand these things off to other people.
Scaling.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so I'm going to add to that, and I'm not going to go deep into it, but remember, you don't just start out with a system full of, activities to do. You have to build it. Build that foundation so that you can build it as tall a skyscraper as you want.
That's right.
Okay? Put yourself in the way of the information, the flow of tactics and information and tips and strategies, and Proven Conference is a great place for that to really happen fast and just douse you in all of that.
Oh gosh, it is like a turbo button.
It is. It's like a turbo button. And Jim always says, advance your business at least 6 months just by showing up.
Well, I like to say that the Accelerator Workshop, Accelerator is in the name.
Yes.
Right? It's like a turbo button too, because we take, X amount of coaching sessions and we basically cram them into 2 days, and it's like turbo.
We show you how to build it, and we show you the framework to keep it going, to predict what you're going to have next month, and the month after that, and the next month after that, sustain it, and grow it and scale it.
And the Proven Conference is the same. Also a huge turbo button. It was for us.
Oh, huge. I mean, it is every year still.
The month after the Proven Conference was our first 5-figure month. And within 6 months after that, we were doing 5 times that.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't happen I know it doesn't happen if I don't go to the Proven Conference.
I agree. I do not believe that would have happened if you didn't go to the Proven Conference. And I'm not sure I would be here today if you hadn't gone to the Proven Conference, because you got so much on you that you brought it home.
That's right.
And I got some too.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't take much for me, obviously.
Okay, well, what's the number one way to get in the way of success?
Test more ASINs.
Test more ASINs.
All right, everybody, go test some more ASINs, and we'll see you at the Proven Conference.
Take care.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. But before I let you go, let's spend a couple minutes with my good friends, Jeff Schick and Leah Maudlin from jeffschick.com. Of course, they are resident experts for all things e-commerce, Amazon, and Walmart legal and policy. We don't talk about Walmart as much with you guys, but let's dive in. What all do you guys cover?
So we cover the same, gamut of stuff that we cover for Amazon. So it's account health, IP claims are common on Walmart. They have, instead of brand registry, it's called brand center. Brands can file IPs, counterfeits, trademarks, copyrights, all that stuff. So we've worked on all those sort of cases. And then also the suspensions. So we've worked on a bunch of suspension cases for Walmart sellers now, which range anywhere from, what Walmart terms retail arbitrage, which is what Amazon calls drop shipping, people being accused of drop shipping. We've also had people get accused of, like late cancellations or other, order defect rate type suspensions as well. And we've helped sellers successfully navigate those arenas as well.
So Leah, you deal with both. What's it like dealing with Walmart compared to Amazon from your perspective?
So I trying to think of a good way to put this. It's almost when I see that I'm going to be working on a Walmart suspension, I almost have like a slight sigh of relief, because usually the situations are a lot more easier to assess. Walmart suspensions very courteously come with a set of questions, normally that they'd like the seller to answer. So you can collect the list of questions from the seller. You can answer those questions in a reasonable way, create a logical plan of action that is a solution to prevent said problem from happening again. And then you can present that data and documentation evidence to Walmart. And typically, as long as you're presenting something that makes sense to Walmart, which they seem to have a much more logical team over there as well, usually those suspensions are significantly shorter than we have over on the Amazon side, where we're sometimes in a position where we're finding ways to present the same information differently to win back an account. Whereas with Walmart, usually it's a first time appeal gets accepted. And then occasionally you do have a couple follow-ups, but it's not uncommon to have an issue one day and have an appeal by the next, depending on, the tier of that client's account, and have a suspension be resolved within 24 to 48 hours, which is amazing in compared to the Amazon appeal process.
Yeah, excellent. Because we are seeing more and more Amazon sellers looking for that backup next income stream. And a lot of them are saying, hey, Walmart makes sense. We're seeing some people do really well there. And it's a good chance for us to remind people that sellers, hey, jeffschick.com, they cover Amazon, Walmart, and what else? You mentioned Shopify?
Yeah, Shopify, eBay. We've worked on that handmade company, Etsy. We worked on cases there as well. So pretty much across the board, anything e-commerce, we've tended to work on something for it.
Excellent. It's a good chance to remind everyone that it's not just Amazon, it's anything e-commerce, policy, and legal. You guys are on retainer for a few dollars a month for my team and many, many great people in our community as well. So thank you for being a great sponsor of the show. And can I have you back next week?
Absolutely. We'll be back.
Talk to you guys then. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this great episode of Silent Sales Machine Radio. We have a very quick announcement that you don't want to miss right now.
Does anyone out there ever feel uncertain when choosing an ASIN to test? Like, it's ambiguous and you're not really sure?
Yeah, or like you have to stand on one leg on the second Tuesday of the first week of the month if the moon is in retrograde.
Right. And hold your mouth right. You got to remember to hold your mouth right. Then you might possibly
consider testing that ASIN someday, maybe.
Right. Sometimes Keepa seems overwhelming. Like it's got so many data points. What if I'm missing something? I'm afraid I'm missing something, so I don't want to pull the trigger. Right?
Yes. Well, we host a 2-day workshop that will demystify the process of building a predictable, scalable, and sustainable book of business on Amazon.
Yeah, it starts with a pre-flight inspection of a listing. So you can answer the question, should I go any further with this ASIN or do I need to move on?
If you get past that, we're going to show you how to apply 3 simple yes or no questions that will help you decide whether to pull the trigger or not. Yeah. Is this even a good ASIN to test?
Right. And if you do decide to test it, we'll help you implement a framework for a 4-week testing process. And this process is clear and methodical, and it'll tell you whether you should replenish that ASIN or not.
Now, in these 2 days, we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to practice how to apply these critical concepts together. It's intense, it's focused, and it's packed with frameworks, quizzes, and actionable information that really is going to stack the deck in your favor when finding your first 100 replenishable ASINs.
Or your next 100 replenishable ASINs.
Yes, I love it.
Yes. You're going to leave with a roadmap to create your foundational book of business over the next few months.
Our next workshop is May 27th and 28th in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, but seating is limited. It's an intimate setting, but you'll be able to ask all of your questions, plus you'll hear all the questions of the other attendees.
Yeah, this is fun, dynamic, educational. It's a great experience where you will get to meet and work with other people who are doing the same things that you are with similar goals. Mm-hmm. Imagine how you would feel when you get back home after the workshop and you're feeling transformed from unsure to certain, from cautious to confident, from overwhelmed to empowered.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to stand on one leg anymore and hold your mouth right. Just making sure, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So if you would like to feel that way, go to provenamazoncourse.com/100. That's provenamazoncourse.com/100. And we look forward to seeing you there because we're inspired by the accomplishments of others.
We're passionate about helping others reach their goals.
And we're committed to sharing the keys to success that have been shared with us.